Hey, Southeast Missouri sports fans. Enjoy the show and want to take it on the go? You can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or YouTube. Tune in as they air by searching SEMO Sports Zone wherever you may be listening. Welcome to SEMO Sports Zone, Cinema A Corp Sports. David, midway through January. How you doing today?
Doing fine. Kind of the January, the lull here in January is we just kind of have some regular season games, and I don't know, just kind of like you just kind of drag through January as you kind of head into February.
It is a weird experience. Maybe we talked about this last year too. It's just like you get all these tournaments in December. It's very high octane. It goes very fast. You get to January, it feels like it all slows back down, and then you're kind of just like, all right, how do we get to playoffs?
Yeah. You're just kind of looking to districts now, just trying to figure some things out. But the January just kind of drags along. You know, I think it's kind of just in not just in basketball, but I think just around in general too. Everything's cold. You're just ready for things to move on.
And it's not to say that this week didn't have some good games.
Oh, it did. There were some really good games this week.
Starting off with Battle of the Boot Heel, we got Hayti 74, Crothersville 57.
Yeah, Hayti had some of their kids back, and they really came out and started fast. LaDon Webb played outstanding in this game. Hit some big threes early. Finished up with 20-something points, but they led 36-22 at half. They just kind of jumped on Crothersville early and just took it to them. Crothersville, I think, cut it to maybe seven or 8 points there in the third quarter, but Hayti just had too much, and this Hayti team starting to play very well. Yeah,
we talked about last week, just if you got your players back, how much you would improve, and it seems like that's been taken in stride.
Yeah, Haty's been bit by the injury bug in football and basketball, but basketball, Combat's been a little, he's been nicked up, Love's been nicked up, Payne's been nicked up. I mean, they've had some of their main guys but they're very deep. I mean, this team goes about 10 deep, and they can a lot of different guys that can score, and they're just a fun team, and they're going to be tough in Class 2 because, they just continue to get better. And with so many weapons, it's tough to focus on one person. And if they can get healthy, it'd be kind of interesting to see how this plays out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest detriments for Class 2 schools, especially, is just you can have talent across the board, but if you don't have a bench depth that can kind of maintain, I feel like that just becomes way more difficult in districts.
Yeah, absolutely, and it makes it tough to focus. To have a defense on a team that has so many different weapons. I mean, okay, well, we're going to focus on this guy over here, and then you got two other guys over here that are going to beat you. And it's just, they can play fast. They get up and down the floor. They really get after you defensively. And it's this Hayti team is playing really well right now, and they're kind of what we thought they might be this year. And they just look better and better.
All right, moving on. We've got Naylor 64, Delta C7 56.
Yeah, this game's interesting. I keep hearing about this C.J. Wallace for Delta C7, and he had a big game in this one. 34 points, 12 rebounds, 7 steals, 6 assists, 3 blocks. I think he mowed some grass. He's just a heck of a player. And, the next night, he comes up and gets 40. I mean, he's just a big player. I've not seen him play personally, but, he's putting up some numbers. I'm going to try to get one of his games in here soon. But, he's just putting up a lot of points. And I saw him play last year. He's a really nice player. And he's putting up some big numbers here for Delta C7.
Yeah, Delta C7, not really something we typically cover. Don't know if we've ever really been in the area for them. But, kudos where it's deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, want to mention these kids, when we can, and he's putting on some shows, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing him play here in the next couple coming weeks.
Absolutely. Up next, we've got Risco 63 and Campbell 41.
I really thought this game was going to be a little bit closer than what it was. First half, it was only a 2-point lead at the halftime, but I tell you what, Risco really pulled away in the second half. They shot it, pretty well in the second half, but what I was, happy with for Risco is they really guarded well, and I think that's something that they've needed to improve, as this year's went along, and they really defended Campbell well. I think Campbell only shot like 33%, and a lot of that was due to the defense from Risco, and a lot of guys contributed for Risco as well. That was something that was good to see. So I think it was a really nice win here for Risco.
Absolutely. I mean, Risco as a team right now too is you're looking at the team from last year. I feel like that colors a lot of people just expectation wise, but I don't feel like Risco's really as down as people would think. at this moment?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, obviously the team they had last year was pretty special. I mean, but this team's not a bad team. I think it's going to be someone to be reckoned with in Class 1. I mean, them and Cooter, I think, are kind of the favorites in that district down there, and
we'll see them play.
And we're going to see them play this week. So it's and I think both those teams match up pretty well. So I think this Frisco team is they've got some pieces, and if they can continue to improve, especially defensively, I think they're going to be a tough out when it comes to district time.
And speaking of Cooter 86 got Central 58.
Yeah, Cooter, I think they hit, 18 threes in this game. Pretty impressive shooting night from them. They're another team that kind of flies under the radar. They're down there by that Arkansas border, kind of like Delta C7. They don't, we don't see them a lot, but they're a team that just kind of keeps moving along. They lost to Naylor earlier in the year. That was kind of an eye-opening kind of surprise loss. But since then, I mean, they've really played well, and they lost to Hayti, gave Hayti a really nice game, and so we'll see how they match up this week coming up here against Frisco.
Absolutely. Van Buren 114, Clearwater 49.
Van Buren's still hitting shots.
Yeah,
that's an impressive number, especially in the turbo clock age here. That we have 114 points. I've not seen that much in the in this recent time, and that's a pretty impressive number. This Van Buren team is just firing on all cylinders right now.
Absolutely. Moving on to Tuesday's games, we got Bernie 55, Crothersville 54.
This was a really fun game. I thought Bernie played pretty well, but so did Crothersville. I mean, this was a kind of a back and forth game. Crothersville had the ball down 2 with the chance to either win or tie, and Hopgood, really nice defensive play, got a steal, pushed it down the floor. They got a layup and or fouled, and got to push it ahead by 4, and then Crothersville hit a 3 there to cut it to 1. But I thought Bernie did what we kind of talked about them doing. They didn't shoot as many threes, only shot 11 threes, but they really kind of pushed the ball downhill, got the ball into Aycock a little bit, kind of Hopgood drove to the basket. They got some points that way. I think Bernie's a much better team whenever they do that, and they showed it in this game.
Okay, absolutely. Game that we were both at was New Metro County Central 73, Charleston 54.
Yeah, this game was kind of a surprise to me. I mean, Charleston beat them by 22 earlier in the year, and or 28 earlier in the year, excuse me. And this game was just kind of flipped. And Charleston came out strong. It looked like they were going to take it to them, but New Matter just kind of flipped the switch, and all of a sudden they looked like kind of what we thought they might look like at times this year. And Jaden Williams was unstoppable there for a while. He just got to the basket anytime he wanted.
Very fast, very aggressive, can make fadeaways when he needed to.
Exactly. Talk about playing downhill. Jaden Williams is whenever he's getting to the basket and he kind of gets going, he's tough to stop. And the big key for him is to score early in the game, get him involved offensively early, get him going. And once he does that, he can kind of start feeling it. And he did it in this game. And then you had Isaac Smith in the second half posting up. He's a big guy. You got him the ball down low, and Charleston just didn't have an answer for those two. And again, Charleston's kind of that up and down roller coaster team, and you just never know what you're going to get from them from night to night. And this is New Matter took advantage of it and played really, really well in this game.
Yeah, I mean, for Charleston, like you said, roller coaster. It's when do you start peaking? When do you start hitting those highs again? And if you do it at the right time, I mean, great, but you want that consistency.
Yeah, and this is a 2-year deal for them. This isn't just this year. It was last year as well. They were kind of up and down. We'd get real high on them, like, ooh, they might be able to be a team that can, give Puxico a run in the district. And then all of a sudden they don't. And it's just an up and down. And they were just struggling to find that consistency from night to night. And I think that's something that they've got to get fixed, if they want to be a player as we get into district time.
Absolutely. Up next, we've got Scott City 52, Chaffee 37.
Yeah, this is a nice win for Scott City. Scott City is another team like Hayti that's playing really well right now. This is, two good teams, and Scott City kind of locked them up defensively, made it tough for them to score, and Scott City can get up and down the floor and score a lot, or they can really guard you in the half court. They can play either style, and they did a really nice job. But Chaffee just had just too many turnovers, and weren't able to put anything together there. And Scott City went on a 15-4 run at the end of the third and the start of the fourth to kind of put that game away. But it was a really nice game from both teams. Very defensive, really got after it. Two rivals, but it ought to cinch the top seed for that Scott Miss tournament there for Scott City.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Delta C7 81, Ellington 25.
Yeah, that is just the game we talked about earlier. Just the 40 points there for Wallace, and again, he's just an outstanding player. He's putting up some big numbers right now.
All right, and then moving on, we've got Kennett 53, East Carter 50.
Yeah, this game was fun. It kind of flew under the radar. A lot of people weren't talking about it. I mean, Kennett's, had their struggles this year. East Carter's kind of found some struggles lately. They've kind of lost a few games, but this ended up being a really entertaining game. Kennett hit a shot. Ty Jones hit a kind of a banked three at the buzzer to win it. And, those are always fun games that you remember for a while. And in a season that's kind of been tough for Kennett, it was good to see them have a little success there.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Jackson 78, Hillsboro 48.
Man, Jackson looks good right now. I mean, Hillsboro's not a bad team, and Jackson just took it to them. They forced 20 turnovers, just really got after them. Ernst is playing really well. They're another team that's got a lot of different weapons. You can't just focus on Ernst or anybody. I mean, they Ernst had 20, Thomas had 20, Jory Toma had 18. I mean, man, they've got a lot of weapons. They're playing well defensively. Offensively, they're really playing downhill. They're really getting, they get the ball in transition and get up and down the floor, which is not typical of a Jackson team. Normally, they kind of play in the half court, but this Jackson team is really tough right now, and they just continue to get better.
Which is, I mean, hey, that's what you want. For Jackson, I feel like they usually have that slow start, and now that they're picking up that speed, I mean that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not so sure they're not the best team in Southeast Missouri. We can't wait till they play Sykeston late in the year. I mean, both those teams are playing really well right now, so I think those two are clearly the best two in Southeast Missouri, in my opinion. And it's going to be interesting whenever they play in February, how they match up, and that's going to be a really entertaining game.
All right, and two more rivals: Notre Dame 63, Cape Central 57.
Yeah, Notre Dame snaps a 5-year losing streak to Cape Central. That was kind of surprising to me. But another thing that was surprising is Cape Central kind of found some offense in this game. They kind of found a way to score, kind of forced some turnovers, got some points defensively. Jaden Johnson, he had 15, and Massey had 15 for Cape. I mean, you're finally. I mean, they scored over 40 points. I mean, that's for them. Sometimes that's been a struggle, and but Notre Dame hit their free throws down the stretch and did what it took to win. And that's what a good team does. And Notre Dame is another team that's kind of coming along here. I think they're kind of fighting for some consistency as well. But the thing is, they're winning games, and that's all you got to just win the games and move on and learn from them. And that's kind of what Notre Dame's doing right now.
Absolutely. Up next, we've got Puxco 75, Bell City 60.
Yeah, I got a lot of comments about this. Hey, Puxco's in trouble. They're only up 5 to Bell City. And I went back and watched this game, and I really thought that Puxco was in control for most of the game. I thought Bell City made a little run there in the third quarter. But Burchard, man, he played outstanding. He had another 40-point game from him. He's just, he's just a tough player. But I thought Puxco looked okay. I mean, they look good. I mean, I know they had a little sickness, and Puxco can go into some droughts, during the course of a game where they don't score. But they're not going to be, typically through the course of the game, you're not going to hold them, for the most part. Those two guards are going to get you points when you need points, and that's what happened here. Bell City's a nice team, but Puxco is just their guards were just too much in this one.
I mean, that's pretty typical, I would say, for most games that Puxco's involved in at this point.
Yeah, I will say Bell City's had a kind of a tough schedule here. They have Puxco. Yeah. They've ran into some. They played Risco last week. They've had a really, really tough schedule, and they're missing one of their best players. But I thought Jake Asher really played well in this game. Stepped up offensively. He's always been kind of their defensive guy, but I think he had 17 in this game. He really stepped up. And Bell City, they're just trying to get through a tough part of their schedule right now.
Yeah, I mean, losses never look good, but when you look at their schedule, it is a very brutal schedule, especially right now in this moment. Yeah,
they're a good team. I mean, this is a very good Class 1 team that's going to be there at the end, and we'll and again, they're missing one of their main players too as well. So that it's just they're just trying to figure some things out.
All right, next up, we've got Sykeston 85, Farmington 55.
This is a huge win for Sykeston as far as district goes, because I don't think they play Festus, so that should slide them in, unless something crazy happens, that should get them that top seed in that district. You always want to be that top seed. And so that's a big thing for seeding purposes, and winning by 30 like this. You kind of send a message like, this is our district. You know, this is you're going to have to really up your game if you're going to try to beat us in this district. Quay Allen for Sykeston playing outstanding. He had a really nice game, earlier in like I think against Charleston, and he had 25 in this game, a career high, and just was outstanding. But and he's kind of part of that crew for Sykeston that we never talk about. You've got the Ben James, the Jairus Goodwins, and Will Lapes, Sean Cole Jr.'s, Jay Ray, and the list goes on. They have so many guys that take part and have big roles. It may not be scoring, but they have so many guys that do so many good things for them. It's just they're just a solid basketball team, 1 to 10, and they're deep, and they like to run, get out and run, and that depth helps them do that. And man, they are fun to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're not hearing the names Markel Murray or Kobe Thomas, usually it's one of those names you just mentioned that comes up that either does the dirty work or picks up right where they left off. Yeah,
absolutely. And one of those guys, they can have an off game or something, and you've got a multitude of guys behind them that can step up and make plays. And it may not just be one guy. It may be multiple guys doing different things. But you have Ben James hitting some big shots. He does a great job finding the open man, and Jairus Goodwin, and like I say, Quay Allen here, 25 points in this game. It's just they've got so many different weapons.
I feel like they might have taken last year's loss to Farmington a little bit personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Sykeston likes Farmington too much. Typically, Farmington will play Sykeston well, especially up at Farmington. But this one, was at the field house, and we all know how well Sykeston plays at the field house.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Hayti 66, South Pemiscot 63.
Man, the Boot Hill Conference, they just beat each other up, and but Hayti is kind of stepping up and kind of making it known that they're the team to beat. This was a big game. I thought they controlled this game through the first 3 quarters, but South Pem, like South Pem does, really got after them defensively, forced some turnovers, got to the basket, got some easy buckets, and stormed back. They had the lead. They had the lead late, but Hayti was able to make their free throws down the stretch. They were 7 to 10 in the game, made most of their free throws there in the fourth quarter. On the other hand, South Pem, they were only 12 to 25 from the free throw line, and in a close game like this, that's going to hurt you. But LaDon Webb, again, he had a great game, a couple nights before, and then this game he was outstanding, 28 points, and hit some big shots for him.
Man, I mean, that you want Class 2 matchups that are just kind of like battles of the Titans. I mean, I think this is one great example of one of those games.
Yeah, South Pem's another team that's playing a pretty tough schedule right now. They're going through that Boot Hill Conference gauntlet, and Hayti is as well. These teams are going to be tested when they get to districts. I mean, this is, you hate losing the game, but at the same time, I'm like, these are tough games. You're going down to the wire. You play again that may be completely opposite. So these are some really fun games.
Absolutely. Thursday night, we've got Clarkton 52, Gideon 48.
Yeah, Clarkton, we don't talk about them much, but they've got a couple of freshmen down there that are really good, and they're really kind of starting to play much better. They're starting to get some wins. They won, this game, freshman Sergio Juarez, he had 19 points, 14 rebounds. Another freshman, Justin Castro, he had 12 points. I mean, this is a nice win for Clarkton. They trailed in the first half, made a big comeback in the second half to get the win. And then they flip it, and on Saturday, they put 5 guys in double figures. They beat Clearwater 79-51. So this Clarkton team is a team that's starting to play a little bit better, and they're really young. They're a team that I think we're going to have to look at in the future as a team to be dealt with.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Zenith Hornersville 75 and Crothersville 60.
Yeah, Crothersville, man, they just got it taken to them in the second half. They had the lead at halftime, 32-26, and Zenith just flat got after them in the second half. And Zenith is another team we don't talk about a lot, but they're not a bad team. And, man, they just really just got after Crothersville. And Cole Sawyer, he had 22 points for them, and they just outplayed Crothersville. It seemed like Crothersville, they'd had this, they had Bernie, a couple nights before. I mean, they just kind of seemed like they were out of gas in that second half. And Zenith, man, they just took advantage of it and looked really good.
All right. Moving on, we've got at the Show Me Center, Lindenwood 88, SEMO 76.
Yeah, I thought it'd be kind of neat to bring up this game. We had a lot of local interest in this game. Yeah. I thought it was really fun, and the local kids, man, they really showed out. I mean, Jadis Jones and Dontrez Williams for Lindenwood, I thought put on a show. I mean, they each had Dontrez had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 steals. Jadis Jones, 20 points and 10 rebounds. I mean, you can't. I mean, those two guys just were outstanding.
They pair well together.
They do, and as a SEMO graduate, I wish they were at SEMO, but still, it's fun to watch them play together, and they looked really good. And then PJ Farmer coming in for SEMO. He had a career night, 12 points, 8 rebounds, played like 20 minutes, a lot more minutes than what he's played before. And all 3 local kids just really just kind of showed out. And it's just and the Show Me Center had a huge crowd. And man, I wish SEMO would recruit more locally, kind of like they did back in the 80s and 90s when that Show Me Center was full like that every game. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it a lot more fun. And you could just feel the vibe there. It was just a great atmosphere.
Absolutely. Very fun. If you can go back and watch some highlights of that game, I'm sure great watch.
Yeah.
Moving on to Friday's games, we've got Woodland 71, Cape Central 41.
So Woodland's good. I don't know if we've mentioned that.
Woodland's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, Woodland, and again, I'm not so sure they're not the best. Them and Puxco are like 1A and 1B to me in the small schools, and I can't wait till they meet. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. That two evenly matched teams there, but Woodland just beat Cape Central for the first time in 50 years. That's a pretty impressive number there. But they just took it to them. Cameron McCormick, 20 points. I've harped on him all year. I think he's kind of the unsung player for them. Does a great job in the middle. Kind of had some injuries early in the year, but is playing great right now for them, and really gives them a different dimension. And I really like his game. Jackson Shock 19, Calvin Layton 13, Corbin Kinder 15. I mean, they've got 4 guys who can score 15 to 20 points every night, and that just makes them so tough.
What else can you say about Woodland? I mean, last year they were good. This year sometimes it feels like they're a little bit better.
Yeah, this team is. I just love the way they play. They play so hard. They really get after you, and it's just they're a fun team to watch.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Delta 76, Bell City 54.
I thought this was a statement win for Delta. I mean, in Class 1, you're kind of looking at the different teams of who stands out over all the other ones, and I think Delta is the team to beat in Class 1 in the area. This is a big win for them. They've got a lot of seniors. Both these teams, very senior-dominated teams, and this Delta team they look really good. And I think that this will probably give them the number 1 seed in their district, unless something crazy happens over the next month. But man, this Delta team, they play really well. Outside of that game to Scott City, who's playing extremely well. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've really kind of had a really nice season here, and man, this is a good win for them.
Yeah, I feel like this really does inject that a little bit more drama into this this Class 1 just kind of race. I mean, Bell City's a great team, and Delta beating them in this statement win, like you said, I feel that just puts them. It's weird because I feel like every week you feel like one of these teams trails behind just a little bit and then shoots right back up into relevance. It's just how it feels like the season's been going. And this is just another one of those times where it's like, don't forget about Delta. They're right here.
Yeah. Delta, they definitely said, hey, look at us. We're not going anywhere. And this is just a really nice win for them. 22-point win over a good Bell City team. That's that opens some eyes. And, this is just they like to get up and down the floor. They're a team that really gets after it defensively, forces a lot of turnovers. And man, they're, like I said, they're a lot of seniors, and they do a really nice job.
Moving on, we've got Dexter 63, Bernie 54.
I think Dexter came out and played very well in this first half.
First half, yeah.
They were extremely impressive. 13-0 run to start the game, led at one point 18-3, got a 20-point lead at the at the break. And man, it was I think they hit 8 of 9 threes in the first half or something crazy like
something
that.
Crazy, yeah.
86% or something in the first half and 3-point line, and forced 17 turnovers in the first half. And you don't see Bernie turn the ball over 17 times in a half. You usually don't see it 17 times in a game, and that's not a normal thing. But rivals, Bernie's going to make that comeback in the second half. You just felt it, and they did, and they shot it well. But I felt like they extended so much energy there in the third quarter trying to come back that they just didn't quite have that last little burst that they needed to finish the game off in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, closest it got. They cut it to 5, I believe.
They cut it to 5. Yeah.
Which, I mean, at that point, it really did feel like it was, Dexter trying to staunch the wound at that point, and they'd go 3 for 3. That's just how the game started going. You're right. Expelled a lot of energy getting that lead back. Dexter just kind of held on.
Yeah, but that's one thing right there. Dexter held on, and something that they've not done this year is hold on. They've had these double figure leads and 8-9 point leads in the second half, fourth quarter that they've not been able to hold on. And this time they were able to hold on and get this win. So I think hopefully they're learning how to win some of these close games. They made their free throws down the stretch, made the plays they needed to make, didn't turn it over, whenever at a big spot like they've done in the past. So that was good for them. I know that Bernie shot 27 threes and only shot the ball 16 times inside the paint. Mm-hmm. But the game did dictate some of that. Dexter kind of packed the zone in, made them shoot it from outside, and but I still want to see them try to get the ball down to Aycock a little bit more. He still had a double for him, but I think you need to get the ball down to him more, and that's going to free up some more of that those outside shots, and maybe you're not shooting it from the volleyball line, because there for a while late in that game they were jacking them up from the volleyball line, and I just think that get the ball inside, work it inside out, but I think this is these two teams play again, it could be a 10-point switch the other way,
right?
So that's what happens with rivals, and usually if one beats one time, the next time they play, the other team's going to win.
Yeah, Stoddard County's coming up, so
yeah,
definitely an opportunity to meet back up in that.
Oh yeah, because the other team, the team that loses, is going to be extremely motivated to win that next one.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Hayti 74, Campbell 46.
Yeah, it was just a really nice week for Hayti. Got some big wins, completely dominated Campbell. They have made themselves the favorite in the Boot Hill Conference. I mean, very balanced scoring. I think they had, like, everybody who played scored. Webb had 14, but they just have so many weapons. Isaiah Love didn't play in this game. He's still out with a nagging injury, so you want to get him back. But man, they're just good. They're just a good team.
Absolutely. Puxico 86, Greenville 38. Whatever woes Puxico was having, they took care of that pretty quickly.
Yeah, Puxico took care of everything that was bothering them, and I think they heard some people talk about that maybe they weren't playing their best, because they really came out and played with a lot of energy and just completely dominated Greenville. Burchard 25, Hancock 21. I think we've heard those numbers before. They combined for 40.
Seems a little low compared to what Burchard typically gets.
Yeah, well, but they probably didn't play much in the fourth quarter. 46 points that combined. They're two of the best guards in the area.
Oh, absolutely.
And just outstanding to, they shoot it well. They can get, they can score many different ways, and they're just tough to stop.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Risco 77, Southland 70.
Yeah, this game, I think the score is a little bit more deceiving than what it was. I think, Risco had like a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, but Southland, they're a scrappy team. They just kept coming at them. They're at the end of the game, and Briscoe was able to put them away. Both coaches wearing suits. Love that. I love the old school suit look. We don't see that much anymore. But both coaches out there in their suits looking sharp. But yeah, Risco played well. I know these two teams have a pretty good rivalry, but Risco was able to pull this one out.
All right. Any games that I'm missing to recap?
Sykeston St. Mary's. We forgot about that one.
That's right in front of me.
Yeah, that's the game that I had eyes on at the time. It was closer than the score. Man, St. Mary's is athletic. Man, they get the ball and are so aggressive and just take it right to the rim. And Sykeston would get a 12, 13-point lead, and here would come St. Mary's, cut it to 3 or 4. And then, Sykeston would go on a little run, and St. Mary's would come back. And man, it was just a fun game. It was St. Mary's just so aggressive the way they attack off the dribble. But I thought Sykeston rebounded the ball very well. They got a lot of big rebounds in this game, and I thought that was the difference to me. Jaharis Goodwin had a great game. We talked about these guys that aren't Murray, that aren't Kobe Thomas, but Jaharis Goodwin, he had 20 points. Murray did have a double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds, but this is a really good win for Sykeston. I think it's a really good win because St. Mary's is a good team. We saw them at the River Bend. Yeah. We saw how good they were, extremely athletic, and this is a really nice win.
I do think it's funny because this is a season that, going into it, it's like, well, this could be a down year for Sykeston. And if this is a down year and you only have 2 losses and those weren't even in regular season games, I mean,
Yeah, they weren't to anybody in this area. I think there's two things. One, I think the Sykeston is better than what people thought they were going to be, and two, I think the area is down as well. I think overall everybody's kind of down. So when but Sykeston's still if you take that down just a little bit, I mean still Sykeston's still better than everybody else, yeah. and it's kind of like Jackson football. They just kind of have dominated this area for a while, and looks like that's not going to stop anytime soon.
All right, Dave, you want to get to your dozen?
Yeah, we mentioned Delta earlier about how they say we're made known. Well, I got them at my number 12. Slide them back in. Thought that was a really nice win over Bell City, and their state ranked team. They deserve to be in the top 12. Chaffee fell to 11. They are. They still beat Delta in the Christmas tournament. That's still kind of current. So I got them at 11. South Pem fell to 10. I know some of the players may not like that, but
is what it is.
You got to win the games, and so they've fallen to 10. I've got Hayti up at 9, and they're moving up. They're just waiting for someone to lose in front of them so they can move up here. Scott City at 8, and again I think they're playing extremely well right now. Notre Dame at 7. Dexter at 6. This is going to be just very similar because these teams didn't lose. I mean, Van Buren at 5, Woodland 4, Puxico 3, Jackson 2, and Sykeston 1. So, I mean, again, very similar to last week, but sure. A lot of these teams, they're just taking care of business and winning the games they need to win.
Now, I don't typically give my opinions on your list on the show. Mm-hmm. I think Haytai's a little low.
I think they are, but I mean, okay, so but if I'm going to raise them, do I just raise them over another team that wins? What did they do wrong to make Hayti jump them? So, I think Hayti is probably a little low, but this is a fluid list, and they'll have a chance to jump up as some of these other teams, will fall by the wayside.
Hey, I mean, I think that's very fair.
That's the way the college football does it, right?
I get you.
You don't. If you win the games, you don't lose, and so you don't lose any spots unless you're Notre Dame.
You sound bitter.
A little bit.
All right, let's move on to upcoming games on Monday. Anything on Monday that's poking out to you? I mean, we got Whitfield Hayti, Cardinal Ritter.
Yeah, I think the Whitfield and Hayti game again. Hayti, they're playing well. This will be a good test for them up there. Whitfield's not a bad team. Cardinal Ritter has this big shootout that they do on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and so it'll be I expect to see them go up and play well, and so we'll see how they match up with this Whitfield team.
Coming up on Tuesday, I'm looking at Woodland and Bell City.
Yeah, that's another one. I mean, Woodland just kind of going through the Stoddard County Conference. I think it's going to come down to them and Puxico. I think they play at the end of February. I think that's going to be the game to watch. But I think to get to that game and have you've got to beat this Bell City team, and this Bell City team again very senior dominated, and they're going to be a tough test.
And then. I don't know. I've got a feeling about this one because I feel like I hate saying this is just how many teams can upset Cape Central, but Cape Central at New Madrid.
Yeah. And now I tell you what, if New Madrid plays the way they did against Charleston, they've got a lot of wins left on their schedule. And, I'm looking at, they play Dexter on Friday night. I think that could be a tough game for Dexter. How do you stop Jaden Williams? I think that's going to be a huge test for Dexter. So, yep. I think that could be a really, really good game. I think New Madrid gets them, and because I think they're going to be able to score more than Cape Central.
And then on Tuesday, this will be covered by A-Corp Sports. We've got Risco at Cooter.
Yeah, that's going to be just probably the game to decide the Tri-County Conference regular season, I would think. There and probably we'll decide the first seed in their Tri-County Conference tournament. I think they match up very well. Very good offensive team, so I expect a lot of points to be scored. And this ought to be a really fun game.
Absolutely. And then Jackson at Poplar Bluff.
Yeah, Poplar Bluff doesn't play anybody in this area really. I mean, it's just tough to gauge. What they are. I mean, we saw them in the SEMO Conference tournament. Then we don't see them again until about now, whenever they start playing some other SEMO Conference teams. And but I expect Jackson to go in there and roll them because Jackson's been playing so well. I see nothing that's going to slow Jackson down until maybe they play Sykeston.
Okay, and then I've got Dexter at Puxico. That will also be on A-Corp Sports on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's again, that's a tough game. I think Dexter has some matchup problems for Puxico, but I think Puxico's got some serious matchup problems for Dexter. I don't know, Dexter doesn't have anybody I think that can handle their two guards. But at the same time, I think Dexter inside is going to be a problem. So this ought to be a really good game. I expect Puxico just probably to have a little much, but if you tell me that Dexter wins this game, I'm not going to be shocked. But I definitely lean Puxico here.
Yeah, I definitely lean Puxico more than Dexter at this point, and I think it's consistency in scoring. I mean, one of the issues I saw from that Dexter-Bernie game was as much as Dexter could hold on to their lead, they really just couldn't get there. Once that half was over, their scoring really went down.
Yeah, I tell you what, a big thing for Dexter in that game we didn't mention was Campbell Neely came in and hit a big three in back-to-back possessions. He hit a three-pointer, then was fouled on a three-point shot and goes and hits both free throws. 6 straight points when Bernie was draining everything at that time. That was just a huge boost for the Bearcats, and it's good to see somebody come off that bench because they don't have a ton of bench scoring. They pretty much depend on those starting five. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the reason I lean Puxico is just, how are you going to stop Burchard and Hancock? It's just tough to stop them both. And, so that's why I lean Puxico here. But I do think Dexter presents a bit of a matchup problem inside for Puxico.
And then moving on, unless there's any Tuesday games that you're looking at.
The only other one I'm looking at is Malden Hayti. I think Malden, Hayti coming back from, they got a long trip to St. Louis and then they have to come home and play Malden. And Malden's not a team that you can kind of sleep on. Malden's a team that'll sneak up and get you. They typically play better at home than they do on the road, but Haty's going to have to bring their A game in this game.
All right. Moving on to Thursday games, Zenith Wardersville and New Madrid County Central. I feel like that's another interesting one.
Yeah, again, we don't see Zenith much, and what I saw of Zenith whenever they in that second half against Crothersville, they look pretty good. So, again, we're going to find out can New Madrid be consistent, and I think that's going to be kind of the thing we're looking for New Madrid. Again, they've got a lot of sophomores that play, and you're just looking for that consistency. And again, if they play the way they did against Charleston, they should win this game. But we've found it hard for them to play back-to-back games, and string together several games where they play like that.
Well, you got to think too, if they do get those wins when they need them, how much that injects that confidence into you.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing for young kids is you're just trying to get that confidence and trying to get them to play with some with that confidence and try to play, not where you're thinking about the game, but just playing the game. And I think that's a big thing with when things start going well for you, you expect them to go well. When things go bad for a long period of time, you start expecting them to go bad. So I think it's big to have things go well.
Absolutely. The expectations for this season too were just kind of like, okay, we need to go up, and to start the season out, it's been a rough going, but you start to turn it around. That builds confidence going into your junior year. Yeah,
they've had some losses, but they've also had some really nice wins here, and so I think you got to just kind of focus on them. You're young. It's going to be this is not the Jadis Jones crew, which I know they are compared to, and that's unfairly compared to, in my opinion. But this is a team that still has the ability to be really good in the next couple of years, but they just continue to improve, and they'll be fine.
All right, on Friday, we've got Puxico at Bernie.
Yeah, this ought to be another good game. I think if Bernie can get the ball down inside to Aycock, that's a matchup that I don't think Puxico has an answer for. Puxico, again, they've got the two guards. It's going to be tough to stop. And can Bernie hit enough outside shots? If they're playing at home, if they're hitting some outside shots and they're firing, it's going to be a tough out. If they're not hitting those outside shots, Puxico could run away with this and win it easily. So, it's just I think it has the ability to be a really tough game. And I like Puxico here. I like Puxico and Woodland to win out until they play until they play each other.
Yeah, I think for this game, it feels very emblematic of, and you see this phrase used all the time, live and die by the three. And I feel like there's two teams that really do have that philosophy, just kind of, lock in step with how they play. I don't know. It's just who's got the better shooting night. And, sometimes Bernie's just off. And when they're off, it ends up in losses.
Yeah, and I would just love to see them. They did a much better job against Crothersville. Again, they only shot 11 threes. They really got the ball inside to Aycock. It seemed like they played downhill the entire way. If they play that way against Puxco, it makes them so much tougher to beat because it does. It opens up those outside shots, and you have better looks because you have to collapse down inside. And I think that and then you start hitting some of your outside shots, and and then it's just kind of a pick your poison type thing. So I'm hoping that I want to see a really good game here. I think that and I think that we will. I think Bernie's going to play at home. They're going to be fired up to play this game. Everybody kind of has Puxco circled on their schedule right now because of how good they've been the last couple of years. So I expect a really nice game here.
All right, moving on, we've got Jackson at Cape Central.
Yeah, and again, this is a big rivalry game, but I think it could, go the way of the football rivalry. I think Jackson kind of looks to be a lot stronger here than Cape Central. Cape Central, again, just trying to figure some things out offensively, and Jackson hasn't figured out, and they're extremely good defensively. This could get out of hand early.
Yeah, this game was played last year, and it was very close. Mm-hmm. So going into this game, I mean, there's probably going to be some feelings of just like you said, rivalry game. Obviously, you're going to bring your best, and Jackson is very good right now.
Yeah, and Cape Central, they upped their game when they were for the rivalry against Notre Dame. So I'll be anxious to see if they can do that against Jackson.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got New Metro County Central at Dexter.
Yeah, and I think this could be a really tough game for Dexter. Maybe a week ago you circle it and say, well, I think Dexter probably should blow them out, but I don't know about that now because what I saw from New Madrid on Tuesday night, if they can bring that same thing to Dexter, it'll be interesting to see how Dexter kind of handles Jaden Williams and Smith inside. He's a big, strong guy. He could get Dexter in some foul trouble, and we know that Dexter does not have a big bench. So, I think New Madrid, presents up some big matchup problems for the Bearcats, and it'll be interesting to see how Dexter handles that. I think Dexter can win this game, but I think they're going to have to play well.
All right. And then up next, I feel like this one just might be interesting, fun. Doniphan at East Prairie.
Yeah, Doniphan is a team that is just kind of flying under the radar right now, but continuing to get wins. And just some really nice wins that they've picked up after Christmas, and they're definitely playing better than they were before Christmas. And East Prairie, boy, they took it on the chin to Scott City, and you got to recover from that game. But I think for the most part, East Prairie's played well this season. So yeah, you're right. This could be a really nice game.
Charleston at Notre Dame.
Well, I hope they play a better game than they did up in the Christmas tournament because that game, I think it was the Christmas tournament. That game was kind of oof. It was rough, but I think that Charleston again just searching. Both of these teams really searching for some consistency. The thing is, Notre Dame is searching for that consistency, but still getting wins. Charleston, whenever it goes bad, it seems to go really bad.
Yeah, and
then when it goes well, it goes really really well. So. Be interesting to see which Charleston team shows up. I think it's like the third time they played this year already too. So that'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Leopold at Richland.
Yeah, Leopold is another team in Class 1 we haven't talked about, but they're a team that's really really a nice team, and I just don't think they're quite to the level of the Deltas or the Bell Cities yet, but they're not far off, and they got a chance to show it here against Richland, who's kind of just struggling to find. They're not a bad team, but man, they just are having a tough schedule and they've taken it on the chin a few times.
And then South Pemiscot at Zenith Hornersville.
Again, South Pemiscot needs a win here. They've kind of had a tough week where they've lost a couple of games in the last couple of weeks, and I think they just need a win. Would help their seeding for that Boot Hill Conference tournament, and just would help their help their confidence. At the same time, Zenith, they're looking to beat some of these teams that last year we kind of watched them. They played a lot of these teams really close, and then they just got the win over here against Crothersville. I think they would like to build off that, and maybe get a couple of wins here coming up against New Madrid and South Pem. These are tough games, but games I think South Pem thinks they can win.
Absolutely. And then moving on, this will be on the Bulldog Nation Network. Kennett at Sykeston.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Kennett. Going in, it's going to be homecoming, I think, for Sykeston. So, they'll be fired up for that. Yep. And Sykeston, they play so well in the field house. If you're Kennett, you got to slow it down on them. Don't run with them because that's a big no-no for a lot of teams. St. Mary's even found that out, and they like to run. But, you just got to slow it down and hope Sykeston's missing some shots. And if you're Sykeston, you just got to go in there and just take care of business, jump on them early.
That's all the games that I've got circled. Anything I'm missing?
No, it's an interesting week. I think we're going to have the seeding for the Stoddard County tournament coming up here on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Should be Tuesday.
Yeah. And that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I think personally, I don't know about you. I think Puxico 1, Woodland 2, Dexter 3, probably Bernie 4, Bell City 5, Advance 6, and Bloomfield 7, 8 with Richland. So, that's kind of how I think the seeding will go, but who knows how the coaches will vote.
Man, I can't really think of a list that would make sense otherwise. Maybe Bernie 5.
I start to say Bernie might slip, but they've had a couple of losses, but I don't know. That loss to Advance kind of sticks out there, but I would say that they're probably going to be on the different side of the bracket than Dexter. So this ought to be a interesting tournament because there's a lot of good teams in this tournament.
Yeah. 1 and 2, I mean, it kind of feels like the situation last year. I mean, I hope the game doesn't end up the same as it was last year, but, Woodland and Puxico, I feel like they are very much, like you said, 1A, 1B, and they just flip-flop of who's got the A and who's got the B, depending on the week.
Right. I agree with that, and that's a matchup that, I want to see them play their best on one night when they're playing each other. I want to see them both playing their best and just see who's the best team. I think that would just be an outstanding game with both these teams, at their best. And let's hope we get it.
Absolutely. All right, David. Any final thoughts?
Not this week. I'm just ready for February.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us. All right, this has been the SEMO Sports Zone. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.